The universe had seen wars that shook galaxies, but none were as unpredictable as the chaos that began the day Lobo, the main man, the last Czarnian, decided to pay a visit to Apokolips. His reason, a bounty. Someone had dared to post a universal hit order on Darkseid, promising riches beyond comprehension. No sane being would take that job. Unfortunately, Lobo was anything but sane. The story began in the dark corners of space, aboard Lobo's speeder bike, the Space Hog. He flicked a half-smoked cigar into the void and roared, "Darkseid, baby! Time to see if that stone face bleeds!" His laugh echoed across the emptiness like a thunderclap of madness. The bounty was just an excuse. For Lobo, this was about bragging rights. To beat the god of Apokolips was to etch his name into the eternal halls of infamy. Meanwhile, on Apokolips, the air was thick with ash and despair. Fire pits burned endlessly, and the cries of the enslaved echoed across its metallic plains. Darkseid stood upon his obsidian throne, watching the flickering holographic feeds from his legions. His piercing red eyes glowed as he sensed a disturbance in the cosmic order. "An intruder approaches," he muttered, his voice low and godlike. Desaad, his loyal servant, scurried to his side. "My lord, the readings indicate a Czarnian vessel entering orbit. Should I dispatch the parademons?" Darkseid's lip curled slightly, the closest he ever came to a smile. "No, let him come." His voice rumbled like the birth of a black hole. "If he seeks death, I shall grant him audience." Moments later, Lobo's bike screeched through the clouds of Apokolips and landed hard in the courtyard of the fire pit's fortress. Flames burst around him, but the bounty hunter only laughed, stepping off his bike with a swagger. His chain-wrapped arm glistened with metallic studs, and his eyes scanned the burning horizon. "Nice place, Stoneface, real cheery decor. You do your own interior design?" A squad of parademons swooped in, screeching through the inferno. Lobo cracked his knuckles and stretched his neck. "All right, boys, let's dance." He grabbed his massive hook and chain, swinging it with casual brutality. One parademon lunged. Lobo met it mid-air, smashing its face into the ground with enough force to leave a crater. Another tried to flank him, but the main man hurled his chain, slicing through three at once. The battlefield filled with the scent of ozone and blood. "Come on, you flying cockroaches." Lobo's just getting started. Eye above, Darkseid watched. Each blow, each scream was meaningless to him, mere ripples in his vast ocean of power. But the audacity intrigued him. To invade Apokolips alone, to slay his guards with such reckless abandon, this was no ordinary fool. This was someone who truly believed in his own indestructibility. When Lobo finished the last of the parademons, he spat on the smoldering ground. "All right, where's the big ugly himself? I came to collect." The world darkened. The fire pits dimmed. Even the burning air seemed to freeze. Then he appeared. Darkseid stepped forth from a pillar of shadow, towering and unshakable. His eyes burned with the infinite wrath of a god who had witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations. "Lobo of Czarnia," he said, his tone calm and regal. "You stand on sacred ground. You have slaughtered my soldiers, desecrated my domain, and spoken my name with insolence. Do you understand what you have done?" Lobo grinned, pulling out a fresh cigar and lighting it with a spark from his fingertip. "Yeah, pal. I just picked a fight with the biggest, baddest rockhead in the cosmos. You gonna cry about it, or are we throwing down?" Darkseid's eyes flared, and the Omega beams began to glow. "Your arrogance blinds you. I am power incarnate. I am the end of all things." Lobo flicked his cigar, his grin widening. "And I'm the fraggin' main man. Let's see which of us is still breathing at the end." Before Darkseid could respond, Lobo hurled his chain. The hook coiled around the god's arm, crackling with energy. Darkseid didn't flinch. He simply tightened his fist and shattered the chain like glass. The shockwave sent Lobo skidding backward through a wall of molten rock. Lobo laughed, dusting off the debris. Finally, someone who hits back. He charged again, faster than any mortal eye could follow, and slammed his fist into Darkseid's chest. The impact echoed through the planet's crust. Darkseid barely moved, then retaliated with a single backhand that sent Lobo flying hundreds of meters. The bounty hunter crashed into the side of a fire pit, lava splashing around him, but Lobo rose again, his skin knitting itself back together. Oh, that's cute. You think a little slap's gonna stop me? Buddy, I've fought gods, demons, and my own clone army before breakfast. Darkseid stepped forward, each stride shaking the ground. You are an insect, loud, obnoxious, and persistent. But all insects are crushed beneath my will, Lobo grinned, revealing sharp teeth. Then come crush me, Daddy-o. And the two forces met once more, the immortal Czarnian whose rage knew no limit, and the new god whose will commanded galaxies. The first collision of their fists sent a shockwave so powerful the ground cracked beneath their feet as Darkseid and Lobo collided again, their clash sending shockwaves through the planet's fiery heart. Every punch Lobo threw tore through the air like thunder, and every counter from Darkseid echoed with the voice of eternity. Lobo spun his chain overhead and lashed it toward Darkseid's neck, shouting, "Come on, Stony! Let's see if that granite face can crack!" The hook whistled through the smoke and wrapped around Darkseid's throat. The Czarnian yanked with all his strength, dragging the god toward him and slamming his knee into Darkseid's jaw. For a split second, the impossible happened. Darkseid staggered. Lobo's grin widened. Not bad for an insect, eh? But then, Darkseid's eyes blazed crimson. You presume too much, mortal. His omega beams erupted, twin lances of raw cosmic energy that bent through space itself. Lobo dove aside, but one beam grazed his shoulder, vaporizing flesh and bone in an instant. The Czarnian screamed, then looked down at his arm as it began to regenerate almost immediately. Joke's on you, Rockhead. I don't stay dead. Darkseid raised his hand, and the earth beneath Lobo's boots erupted. You misunderstand, fool. Death is mercy. I offer oblivion. The ground split open and molten fire gushed out, engulfing the Czarnian. But Lobo burst through the flames, skin charred and eyes blazing with madness. You can't kill me, pal. I've been banned from heaven and hell. He lunged forward, slamming both fists into Darkseid's chest. The impact sent a ripple through the tyrant's armor, cracking it slightly. That one crack was all Lobo needed. He roared in triumph, landing blow after blow, each strike shaking the planet. Yeah. How's that feel, big guy? Lobo's serving up pain on the rocks. Darkseid endured the assault in silence, his expression cold, timeless. When Lobo's fists finally slowed, Darkseid caught his wrist, mid-swing. The Czarnian froze. For the first time, he felt true pressure. I have fought gods who shaped universes, Darkseid intoned, his voice echoing across the burning plains. I have slain beings whose names you cannot comprehend. You, Lobo, are nothing but chaos without purpose. Then, with godlike precision, Darkseid squeezed. The sound of bones shattering filled the air. Lobo howled, his arm twisting unnaturally, but even as it broke, he slammed his head into Darkseid's face, shattering the remaining pieces of armor. Both stumbled back, blood, or whatever passed for it, dripping to the scorched ground. The two titans stared at each other through the smoke, both bruised, both furious, both alive. Then Lobo spat a tooth and grinned. Not bad, Pops. But I ain't done yet. He reached for his bike, whistling sharply. The space hog roared to life, its thrusters igniting. Lobo jumped aboard, revving the engine, and charged full speed toward Darkseid. The vehicle's spikes glistened, its exhaust flaring like a comet. Darkseid raised a single hand. Enough! The Omega beams surged again, this time spiraling through dimensions. They hit the space hog mid-charge, exploding in a blinding flash. Lobo was thrown across the horizon, his body trailing smoke. He landed with a thunderous crash in the heart of the fire pits, his regeneration fighting desperately to keep up. Darkseid approached slowly, his steps unhurried, inevitable. You cannot comprehend what I am. You defy me for sport, but I am purpose itself. I am the order that ends all chaos. Lobo coughed, trying to rise. Order, huh? Let me tell you something, pal. The universe needs chaos. Keeps the party going. With a final roar, Lobo leapt at him, swinging his chain once more. Darkseid caught it, not with effort, but with contempt. The Omega beams ignited again. this time burning through the chain, through Lobo, and straight into the fire pit behind him. Lobo's body disintegrated in a flash of blinding light, the energy tearing through his cells until nothing remained but vapor and the faint smell of burnt ozone. Silence fell. The fire pits flared back to life, brighter and angrier than before. Desaad emerged from the shadows, trembling. "My lord, he is gone." Darkseid turned, his expression unreadable. "He will return. He always does. But each time he will remember." "Remember what, sire?" Desaad asked. Darkseid looked into the inferno, his red eyes glowing like dying suns. "That even chaos must kneel before power."